Well, welcome back, everyone. I'm Nate, and this is our channel Built on the Rock. My wife and I and family are building our own personal residence, and today's video will be covering the second story framing as we're doing right now, as well as all the truss installation. This process was definitely one of the hardest parts for me. Everything else has been pretty straightforward overall, and I've been pretty comfortable with what we're doing, but the trusses were a different matter. I am not a huge fan of heights, and so that's one thing that you'll probably not be able to tell, but it's definitely something that I felt while we were working here. Here, my dad and my wife are nailing off all these truss hangers, which had, I don't know, at least 40 or 50 nails in each bracket, and we had, I don't know, over 20 of them. Well, another exciting day today. We've got our roof trusses coming. So in the last few days, last weeks, we've been waiting longer than I had hoped for them, but we've got this to show for it. We got the floor trusses all up, and we've got our Advantex subfloor down. Glued it, used ring shanks or screws, so it's doubly protected. My dad's out there sweeping for nails, so when we take the telehandler out here, we're not risking popping a tire, at least trying to prevent it as much as possible. These are our, people call them like a knee wall or whatever, our end walls of our upstairs space. So the ceiling line will be pretty low on the end, so it'll be about 2 feet before I can stand up all the way. It'll be 5'1" here, and it'll go up to 9'4", 9'6". There's our telehandler. We're gonna hook up our trusses to that and pull them up. I will have the camera set up here as the trusses show up. They should be here any minute now. All right, bye. All right, trusses are showing up. Here we go. All right, well, our first set of trusses are sitting up there at the end of my truss jib. These are light trusses. These are the easiest ones. So I'm getting my feet wet on easy things. In my honest opinion, setting trusses should never be done alone. I am not an expert at this, and I have seen plenty of guys that do trusses mostly on their own, but usually there's some helper passing them blocks that they're cutting or something. But even with these small trusses, it was just so much easier to have multiple helping hands, and in some cases, even like right here, my sister Katie came out and helped with my dad and my wife as well, so that was really nice to have all that extra help. One thing that made this process go so easily right here, aside from the fact that the trusses are all the same size, is that we went through and did layout before we started setting trusses, so that was really helpful. Here we're setting up to do these attic trusses that are, they're really big. They're huge. They're under that stack out there by the Kubota, and they were definitely something that made me pretty nervous. Actually, we're just bringing up these small trusses to get them out of the way, but those attic trusses rather, those were really difficult, and that definitely tested my comfort level on that. Even though my family seemed fine, I was nervous since I was the one driving the unit, and I was nervous about hurting somebody or causing any damage. So I'm not sure how many of you have seen this type of a truss before, but the cool thing about this truss, these three trusses here, actually I think there are a total of 4 or 5 when we're all said and done, is that the truss encompasses the floor system, the wall system, and the ceiling and roof system all in one unit. It's really flimsy when they're all by themselves, but when you get everything put together, just like all these other trusses, you can kind of see these trusses just flex so much. But once you lock them all together and tie in the framing, they're really solid. Ultimately, after all is said and done, I think I would have been better off stick framing this whole thing, which you'll find out here in a minute why. But it was a good experience, and my biggest recommendation to any of you who are looking to build a custom home is don't buy a house plan. Build, design it exactly how you want it. It's probably going to end up cheaper in the end to pay a designer to design it and then have an architect work it up rather than paying for a house plan that you think will be inexpensive and then find out it's much more expensive than you
just
thought.
try and utilize what we have and make some. I got some steps going, so yeah. You just have to shift. Okay. You want to go down a little? Down a little. Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, more up? No, no, no. Okay, I'm coming forward. Is that okay? Yeah. Okay. Can you bring it this way? A little bit. Good. Good to go. Yep.
Ernie had a couple of hours this morning, so we worked on these trusses since it was something we could all do pretty easily. And he was out here to help us for just a couple hours before he had to get to work. So thanks, brother Ernie. Anytime you can do something easier and better, I say go for it. Here what we're doing is putting our zip on the last attic truss, and that way I didn't have to do it up high on the when it was hanging up there, 30 feet in the air. So this was definitely easier, although it also proved stressful when we were trying to put the truss up. When there was just a couple mile-an-hour winds blowing, it definitely got some pressure pushing against what we were trying to do on the day we put this up. Well, today we're expecting rain and we've had some decently high winds. We got our last load of trusses. I didn't have that videoed. And we started working on this gable end truss here, taping it up and building our overhangs. So we got our overhang built up on that one, zipped up into the corner. We left it off in hopes that I've got a hole drilled out in the middle there, hoping I can put our strap in between there and lift it up so that everything will be done on that wall with the exception of a few little pieces, some zip tape, and then framing our window opening, which we'll do from the inside. And then we've got another truss here, and Dad's working on this structural girder truss right now. All right, I'm gonna put on time lapse. It turns out all the work that I'm doing right here is going to end up getting torn apart, or at least all the overhangs. I had 12-inch overhangs, and I really ended up wanting 18-inch overhangs, and I also did a 2x4 subfascia, and in order to have a 8-inch fascia, I needed a 2x6 subfascia. So unfortunately, we got all this done. We spent, it didn't take too terribly long, but it was some wasted material, wasted tape, all that stuff. But live and learn, and it wasn't overly horrible. The rain was kind of annoying today, though, when we had to do this. Because these may not be perfect. Left or right? I don't think so. You know what? The only thing better than me setting trusses is somebody else setting trusses. And that's what's happening today. I bit the bullet and decided to bring another framing crew in to finish this up. It's just gotten out of hand for me. I don't like being up high. I don't mind being up about 10 or 15 feet, maybe even 20, but 30 plus, and I start to get a little weak in the knees. So we're hiring a framer to send his crew out here and to wrap things up. So he's going through checking square, plumb, and level of everything I did, which he did this morning. And now they're getting ready to set trusses. So they're bringing everything back here. I believe our kitchen trusses. This is the kitchen vault, I think, right here. And then the truss, yeah, I think so. And then I think this is the dining room, this flat part here. And then this goes up to top here. And what happens on top of that yet is there are trusses that sit on top of this to cap and create the ridge that comes up and back down there.
So these are some big, gigantic trusses. And that peak right here, the bottom, well, the bottom of the truss is there, but the bottom of this part of the truss, this is about 14 or 15 feet off of my slab, which is about 21, 22 feet off the ground. So when you're standing up there, it just gets a little intimidating. More intimidating than I want to deal with. So it's a good day. I'm excited to have somebody else do this. It's not something we really had in the plans to hire somebody else to do this, and I don't want to spend the money on it, but I feel like for safety reasons, and so I can go back to work and do the things that I do well, which framing a roof is not one of them, is probably for the best. So that's what's happening today. All right, more trusses getting moved. Check in with y'all later.
This is what happens when you hire the framing crew and they come in and they decide that you needed way more bracing than you had. And so this is their way of making sure things stay put when they start to put up the trusses.
Well, I'm getting the vaulted trusses over the family room up right now. All right, so I'm turning around here. We are at the garage here. The garage has been zipped, windows framed, and we've got face pieces all dialed in. Looks like they still have some adjustments to do on that. Staircase is still not gone in yet, but they're gonna start working on that later. I'm letting them take over that too, since they're doing all this. Trusses are in. Most of them. There's still a few more little pieces that they gotta put in.
I had to cut out some audio here because there was some music playing and I didn't want to have copyright issues over the song that was playing. So this is just the kitchen and great room area. We've got a vault going one direction, and then the great room has a vault going the other direction that carries all the way through to the entryway. Exciting stuff to see this come together here. There's still some framing that has to be done. I was kind of pointing out there that there's a gable end to the left of where the camera is showing right now, right over there, that has to be stick framed in. Well, everyone, I want to thank you for watching and stay tuned for another video. We should hopefully have another video up by the end of next week showing window installation and how we went about doing that. We did a combination of methods to accomplish a nice seal on our windows. So I think that's going to be interesting, at least for people that are building. So here is a rough picture you can kind of see of what things are looking like. It is progressing nicely. Thanks for watching, and if you haven't, like and subscribe if you're still sticking around for this content, and have a great day. Bye.